Welcome to Know Your Mobile. I'm Basil. This is a Sony Xperia Z. This is a BlackBerry Z10 and you are watching our video comparison. The Sony Xperia Z, the latest flagship from Sony. The BlackBerry Z10, the latest from BlackBerry. The BlackBerry Z10 is a first to pack BlackBerry's newest OS, BlackBerry 10, unsurprisingly named. The BlackBerry Z10 is also the first full touchscreen phone from BlackBerry to run Quinix. Quinix is the same operating system that was found on the Playbook. The Xperia Z, however, is a much more tried and tested formula. It's a Sony phone running Android, and it is a gorgeous Sony phone. Full HD display, quad-core power. There's very, very little bad to be said about this from the offset. If we talk about the design, it also wins out in the design stakes just because it's so much more inventive. Like, it seems quite boring and plain because you've just got this very squared off design, but we haven't seen any design look this classical for a long time. Most designs tend to follow iPhones with their really rounded corners and just this general look and feel that BlackBerry has gone for. In terms of buttons and ports, all the buttons and ports on the Sony Xperia Z are under flaps. That's because it is weather resistant, waterproof resistant, up to a depth of 1.5 meters for 30 minutes, and indeed dust resistant as well. That's why the micro SD card slot on the left is under a flap, as is the 3.5mm headphone jack up top, micro USB port, micro SIM tray, and that's it. They're all the flaps. On the reverse is the 13 megapixel camera. On the BlackBerry Z10, you've got a micro HDMI port, which is great to have, though you do have an MHL on the Xperia Z, You've got a micro USB port, right-hand side volume rocker. You've also got a little prizable area where you can take the back cover off on the reverse of the on the bottom of the BlackBerry Z10, and the 3.5mm headphone jack up top, as well as a power button. Underneath the hood is a micro SD card slot, micro SIM tray, and the 1800 mAh removable battery. The BlackBerry Z10 is the only one of these two with a removable battery, with the Sony Xperia Z packing a 2100 milliamps under the hood, which is non-removable. As far as the displays go, both are real standouts of each phone. The Sony Xperia Z's Full HD display packs a whopping PPI, I think it's 443, may be mistaken on that, but either way, it's immense. The BlackBerry Z10 also won't be outdone all that readily with a smaller screen and a 720p resolution. It looks fantastic, both perfect for movies. The BlackBerry Z10, given the fact it's smaller, sits much less imposingly in the hand, and it does actually feel more comfortable. As much as we love the design of the Sony to look at, the sharper corners do dig into the heel of the hand ever so slightly more. So if you do have smaller hands, you would definitely prefer the BlackBerry Z10. If you have larger hands, you might be able to accommodate the Sony Xperia Z. And the screens, the Sony Xperia Z wins out based on its sheer size and pixel density. And that's, like we said, the BlackBerry Z10 is gorgeous, both perfect for movies and consuming media upon. As far as user interfaces go, Android is on the Sony Xperia Z and therefore wins out hands down from the offset in terms of applications. And the user interface is familiar, it's tried, it's tested. You've got home screens, you've got a pull down notifications bar, you've got an applications tray, and that's pretty much it. Really simple. The BlackBerry Z10 is much more complicated. Not in a bad way though. Let's take a look at the user interface. If we just swipe up, for example, we can actually unlock the phone. We can swipe up all the way, and that's from the screen being off. A really nice touch. You also have an applications tray as with the Sony Xperia Z, but you've got this great multitasking view. The multitasking on the Sony Xperia Z is done by pressing the multitasking button. Green version, and we can see not only has it actually customized the background, it's actually gone in, changed all our highlights, and it's even pulled in a really complimentary wallpaper into the scene. Right there, how gorgeous is that? But in terms of actual core functionality, it doesn't innovate all that much when compared to the BlackBerry Z10. Which one's right for you? And for anyone who needs to be connected 24/7 all the time, either will do you good. The BlackBerry Z10 is for the geek in you, the one who wants to really try this new OS out. Whether it's going to fail or win out in the OS battle is really anyone's game. We can't say for sure, but it certainly has impressed us no end. The Sony Xperia Z is for people invested in the Android ecosystem in terms of UI. If it works, and it really does just work, there's no doubt about that. It's considerably more stable than the BlackBerry Z10 without BlackBerry crashing on us quite a few times. But like we said, both are beautiful, beautiful choices. Innovative, classical, can't get much better than that. Moving on to the cameras of both devices. 8 megapixel on the BlackBerry Z10, 13 megapixel on the Sony Xperia Z. Both take stonking images in great lighting. In poor lighting, the Sony Xperia Z wins out hands down. The Sony Xperia Z also wins out in terms of video, and it also wins out in terms of camera user interface. So therefore the camera on the Sony Xperia Z is just better. Moving on to power, you've got dual-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 processor inside the BlackBerry Z10. We had absolutely no issue with slowdown. Played 3D games, they ran smoothly, multitasked loads of applications. That it also did a fantastic job of that. The Sony Xperia Z10, though, with its quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 clocked at 1.5 GHz, does win out on the sheer power front because the games look sensational. With the Android App Store being on there, you've got a much wider range of games, and they play back beautifully. Both devices get quite hot, though, especially around the camera mounts and in pretty much the same area, so maybe that's something more to do with the Qualcomm Snapdragon S4's inside. Either way, though, neither will leave you wanting in terms of power, but undeniably the Sony Xperia Z packs more of it. In terms of memory, both are very, very similar. 16 gigabytes internal with microSD expandability. So you can up them both by an additional 64 gigabytes, which is hugely, hugely impressive. Battery life is the only real final one, and again, they're both pretty comparable. 1800 milliamps, 2100 milliamps. The BlackBerry Z10's maybe a little bit better. Neither impressive though. Neither really going to last a full day. We had an LTE SIM in the BlackBerry Z10, and it would die by about 6:30 p.m. In the Sony Xperia Z, it was a little bit more feeble, to be honest, if we use the screen a lot. And indeed, we wanted to. The BlackBerry Z10 is really great. You can like open up an application, just glance into your messages, and then you're done, and you can switch off the screen pretty easily. We felt with the Sony Xperia Z10 there's so much on there, so much rich content. We were constantly thumbing through our RSS feeds, just using it, watching movies on it, taking pictures with the camera. It's considerably richer in terms of what you can potentially do thanks to the Android App Store being so much more developed, 3D gaming as well. So we rinsed the battery on the Sony Xperia Z10 in no time flat. One great thing about the Z10 is it does ship with this gorgeous charging dock. This just plugs in via USB. It isn't an HDMI dock, so don't get your hopes up, but it does a great job of very conveniently just charging your phone. We had this at our desk, and battery life didn't really become an issue. However, you won't have the dock at your desk all the time. You won't be working every day. You won't always have access to a charger. And while you could carry something like this HTC double charge with you, you certainly won't have it all the time. So the Xperia Z battery does let us down. Not the worst out there, and it feels a little bit better than the Sony Xperia T. And the reason probably has a lot to do with Sony's stamina mode, which is a power setting that they've included to save power. It basically deactivates applications when you're not using it. The BlackBerry Z10 has power saving mode, but it wasn't anywhere near as comprehensive as the Sony Xperia Z's. So all in all, in terms of battery, pretty even keel, with the BlackBerry edging slightly ahead, largely because we didn't end up using it quite so much. Not entirely fair, but that's how it goes. So all in all, which phone is right for you? If you are a workhorse, if you're an email addict, the BlackBerry Z10 is perfect. If you are coming from a BlackBerry, you've got BBM on there. So you can very confidently upgrade into this fantastic new user interface. Gesture support is astounding, and the touch integration is great. Stability is a real issue though, so if you're really dependent on having a stable OS, want loads and loads of applications, want that gorgeous full HD display, love watching movies, Netflix, everything on your phone, want a better camera, then the Sony Xperia Z is the one to go for. Hope you've enjoyed our video comparison. It's been brief, so if you've got any questions, please fire them in the comment section below. This has been Basil with Know Your Mobile. Please, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel.